This Week in Business. Today it is Anthony and I. We've got some really interesting topics to talk about today. How are you today, Anthony?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Now, everyone, if either of us is blurry, we're both just having a few tech issues today. So we'll work through it and just, don't think you need to put your glasses on. It could just be a tech issue. So, Anthony, let's talk about International Women's Day. Did you do anything for it?
I celebrated with the most important women in my life, I have 3 daughters and a wonderful wife, and told them all how important that they are in the world. And I think they all actually raised the point back to me, which is a very fair and valid one, that there is still so much progress to be made. One of them is currently reading Malala Yousaf, I think it is, Malala, the girl from Pakistan who was shot, reading her story. And we often get caught up in what's happening here, but gee, it's a tough world for women in a lot of places. We saw some fantastic social media posts going around. We saw some maybe not so fantastic stuff. Dave Sharma's roses perhaps are up there on the list of things that, maybe a little cringy, but it's okay. What we did learn, and, we get these opportunities a couple of times a year. There are spaces which you just have to tread really carefully on. Anzac Day is a huge one that I advocate for a long time. Just unless you have something genuinely, authentically relevant to say, shut up. And, we've seen in the past Woolworths coming out with the Digger biscuits and things like that as an opportunity to sell based on it. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I just want to interject there. Sorry, Anthony. Yeah. I think it's really important. I know that everyone loves to have the moment where they celebrate and openly put it on their social media, or maybe it's that you feel like you have to post something because it's a day of the year and you need to do something. I'm really a big advocate of, if it doesn't feel right or it feels like you're forcing yourself to do something on social media, probably don't do it. It's probably not really aligned necessarily with where you're going and what you're doing at that time. And as you can take those breaks and reflect on things personally. You don't necessarily have to share it on social media.
You'd be surprised to know that every day is also something. So just having a quick look on my calendar here today. Today is the National Oatmeal Nut Waffles Day. It's National Johnny Appleseed Day, the Worship of Tools Day, which could be an interesting one out there, and the World Day of Muslim Culture, Peace and Dialogue. So there's always something out there if you're willing to do. But if you want to jump onto a big trend that's happening and you've got something worthwhile to say, be careful. That's my message. Can we just jump to the screen share for a second?
Let's show you this great one that came out on Monday on International Women's Day.
So we had a terrific post, well thought out, and a great initiative here from Burger King, who were highlighting a point that I had no appreciation of, being that only 24% of chefs in kitchens and in chef positions in America are actually women. Much more people sitting at the lower levels in the roles, and lots of home cooks, these kind of things. But at the top of the tree in kitchens, only 24% of chef positions are held by women. But all of that would absolutely pale into insignificance, and I'll bet you no one would ever notice that after you read the headline and just go, what the actual heck are these guys doing? There's some really clever marketing that's been done here. They've managed to pull an idea which they know will create antagonism, will force you to look at it. But what they've forgotten in 2020 is none of us want to read the long version of it. None of us want to find out what someone's actually saying when we can get an instant emotional reaction to something. And I pretty much guarantee you that everybody who saw this newspaper ad, everybody who saw this tweet would have first looked at it and gone, where are these guys coming from? What century is this? How offensive is this? Without actually bothering to read the rest of the story, which is a great initiative. They've got a foundation they've started. They've got money behind it. They're helping people move into senior roles and mentor them. But that's all disappeared in the outrage cloud that's pretty quickly followed it. So
look, I look at that ad and I think and I understand Burger King's colouring and their branding, but I look at that and I think, oh, it's so 70s, like the colouring, the letter choices, the fonts they've chosen. I'm personally looking at that going, oh, when did we like time walk back from the 70s? And is this actually a joke that someone's pulled this from something that's happened previously? Because like you said, I actually didn't read further than the headline until much later, because I just thought, what are you on about, guys? And I did actually question whether it was a current ad or whether it was something they'd pulled out from the past.
It almost looks like something straight out of the Nursing Mother's Cookbook.
Yes.
And if you've got an old edition, we've got a 1970s edition. There's a great section at the back of things that your husband can cook while you're in hospital having a baby. And there was toast on the list. I kid you not, toast was there, and how to boil an egg was the list of sections on instructions to provide it. And used in relatively similar font to this, actually. And I think the marketing message they're looking to bring back is this is an outdated attitude, but, we didn't get past it. And this is something which I think, Burger King have got, I'm guessing, teams of dozens, if not hundreds of marketers in there. This would have gone through multiple layers of approval. Most of us only have, maybe ourselves or our partner or a friend who can look at things and go, maybe think about that a little bit more. But if there's a little nagging voice at the back of your head that says, this could perhaps be taken the wrong way, listen to it. Don't muck around. It's not worth upsetting people, particularly given that the bigger loss here was actually the messaging that they really had below it that was so important that people did start to appreciate. We've got, when you think about the commercial kitchen space, we've got the Gordon Ramsays and the Heston Blumenthalds out there telling their story. But we contrast that to the Nigellas and other people like that who are actually not positioned as being commercial chefs, even though they most likely are. So it's important we start to think about that true equity there, that it's a message, rather than just focusing on perhaps a little bit obtuse headlines.
Yeah, so guys, the point we're trying to get to with this is that when you are thinking about your marketing and your advertising, social media, whatever it is that don't look to necessarily have the shock and the awe type things as your headlines. Really look to try and get your message across as best possible, and think about those fonts and that lettering and the colouring, and have you seen it somewhere before that people might necessarily go, oh, what is that? So, really think about what you're putting out there. And I know sometimes we don't have time to do that. And if you don't have time to do that, then, just try and keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate your messaging like Burger King tried to do here. Just, keep it simple and get your message out there in the most concise and clear way that you can.
Please put that slide away for me now. I'm done.
You're sick of looking at Burger King. I'm sick of looking at the 70s because that's all it reminds me of, is like a CWA cookbook type thing. So
yeah, you weren't around though, so I can actually enjoy the 70s.
I wasn't around, but my grandma has given me many, many books that, and I thought that ad was from the past, that someone had dredged up as to be inflammatory on International Women's Day, especially when the theme for this year was choose to challenge. So, it really they challenged it, that's for sure. They got a lot of people thinking, but not necessarily in the right way. So, yes. Now, on to our next topic, business accountability buddies. In case you haven't seen, guys, we are running a workshop next week here in Bunbury. That is $45 plus GST to attend. And it is a 2-hour business planning workshop where we're going to do a quick health check on your business. Anthony's going to run through some goal setting for the next 3, 6, and 12 months. And we're going to help set you up with business accountability buddies. So what's a business accountability buddy? I can hear people already thinking this. Go, Anthony, tell us.
I love the idea of an accountability buddy, and a big shout out to mine, who I had for, we worked together over a period of a couple of years getting stuff done. And it's, we've all heard of coaches, and you pay somebody to come and coach you along in your business, and that's going to be a really valuable thing for a lot of businesses. An accountability buddy is more of a two-way street. It's somebody independent who's perhaps not necessarily a close friend of yours, but somebody we can actually, throw things at and say, this is what I'm going to achieve. And in a week or 2 weeks or a month period, we can come back and go, have we done it or not? It's somebody who's almost like that little voice on your shoulder saying, have you done what you said you were going to do? And so it forces us to sit down, to make our plans, to outline the actions that we're going to take to achieve our goals, and share that openly and transparently with someone that you trust. And that person that you trust, this is a different relationship from a mentoring relationship, from a coaching relationship. It's very much a peer-to-peer type thing. And in doing that, there's no better motivation than the shame and humiliation of meeting with someone and saying, how did you go? Because you're both going to be feeling the same things. Have we achieved it? What do we do? What if we haven't? Have we got a reason why we haven't? Or did it not matter in the first place? And so you meet up, you talk with each other and share those kind of things as you're going along. And between the two of you, you both provide active support to get stuff done, which is important to you. I am a huge fan of these because it can really give you that accountability outside of yourself to get those things done that you really need to get done. Stuff doesn't sit on the table as to, maybe going to be done in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason we're doing this in line with this business planning workshop, guys, is because we're going to be looking at setting 3, 6, and 12-month goals. And by setting such short-term goals, you really do need someone to push you forward in that and, have that check-in, because sometimes checking in with yourself, you just kind of give yourself an excuse to go, oh, I was really busy doing something else, that you just don't necessarily drive forward with that. And what we learned through COVID is that it's really hard to set long-term goals now. And so what we want to work with you is getting those short-term goals and really making that progress and pushing forward.
It's very much an action-driven relationship. You've got certain things you're going to do by a certain point of time. And you know what? One of the most successful things that we found with going through this accountability process was that when you had 2, maximum 3 things that you were going to achieve in between your meetings, and those 3 things mightn't be huge. It might be following up on a particular client that you just don't want to have to talk to. It might be, working on your proposal structure. It might be, getting your books in order for the next BAS. Whatever it might be, you can say, these are very tangible, very real things that we're going to do. And you have that external validation on it. It's different when you've got to answer yourself, because we can always forget about stuff, even if it's subconsciously. But when you've got it listed there and it's on paper, that's a big part of it. Saying, you've handed each other your sheets of paper saying, this is what I'm going to do, this is what you're going to do. And in a month's time, we come back and look at it, or a fortnight, whatever works for you. We can then say, right, this is where we're at, this is where we're going. And that's, it's something which I can attest has real value in getting stuff done.
Yeah, so guys, that's something we're focusing on next week at our business planning workshop. So I would highly recommend getting along to that. I've been working on it in the background and I'm excited for it. There is some really great gold nuggets that are going to be coming out of it. And then you get to have team up with someone as a business accountability buddy to help drive each other forward. And we think it's wonderful and we hope you can make it for that. So thank you so much, Anthony. Thanks for joining us. That was a great one. I love that Burger King thing. Let's not go back to the 70s, though. I wasn't around. I don't feel like I need to go there again.
No.
All right. Thanks, guys. We will see you next week.
See ya.